Uh-oh.
Well,
Okay.
hello.
Hello. God bless you. Thank you, Skip.
Right.
God bless you.
You know, sister, you almost choked yourself when you put the earphones on, so I had to say something.
I'm glad you did because you know I can't see anymore.
Oh.
I got to wear my glasses around my neck, and the first headphones I had, I got an echo from one side. So, man, and now my volume is up so high, I can hear myself outside. But it's all right. God bless you, community family, and welcome to Gang Talk with Skipp Townsend, Sister Herron. You know, we've been coming here every Thursday for quite a few years, and to have this very important conversation with our family, our community family, because this is community business, and it's time for us to recognize how close we are as a people and a community, and all our children's lives matter, don't they, Skip?
Yes, ma'am, they do.
Thank you for being our co-host.
Well, thank you for having me. I give all honor and praise to God. I'm grateful to be here. And as I was sharing before we started, I had a close one this morning, so I'm truly grateful. I promise I'm making this official. I'm not eating Wingstop anymore. You know, I didn't know what it was this morning, but it got me together. It was like, hey, look, pay attention. So I'm paying attention.
Well, let's clarify something. Was it Wingstop or Hot Wings?
No, I don't eat hot wings.
Oh, okay.
I eat a lot of grease. I eat the lemon pepper and all the Earl, and I dip it again in the little Earl at the bottom. And, you know.
Yes. Okay. You got to have the Earl.
Well, you brought Earl today.
Yeah, I was going to say. I didn't do it.
Yeah, it's not cooking Earl or motor Earl, but it is Earl.
It is Earl. That's true. Yeah, been Earl.
Couldn't
all
be
the time.
George. It couldn't be John. And that'd be Earl.
Right.
But then it wouldn't be Hot Wings, so, you know, with the Earl.
Right.
Spelled with an E at the end.
That's all right, because, look, we're just so happy to have you here tonight. But before we get started with you, sir, we always like to thank our guests from last week.
Yes, we do. We always like to thank our guests. So our last week guests, yes, indeed. We thank them, no?
And we go through this every week. Who was here last week?
It takes about a month before I forget.
Okay. No, it doesn't. It just takes a week.
Oh,
okay, for both of us. And I'm ashamed of myself because, I know who it was. It was you. It was Marcus.
Oh, okay. Just me
It
and
was
Marcus.
Dale.
Oh, Dale, yes. Dale was our guest. I was going to say me and Marcus kind of like regulars, but, you know, Dale is a regular. Well, you know, Dale is for real a regular. You know? So, yeah, just a bunch of regulars. So.
Okay, because it's so funny. Dale has a very serious opinion, and he and his peer group discussed it all the time, and they came on once, and I've been trying to get him to come back, but his other two friends are new fathers, and they're playing daddy and, you know, home with the baby's moms and, you know, wife and doing the husband things. So.
That's great. But you know what? I'm really proud of Dale and his friends because they articulate and they're critical thinkers. And we need more of that. And I'm sure that the two men with the young babies will nurture and embrace fatherhood with teaching their children.
Oh, yes.
And we need that. So I'm grateful for his generation and those that you know, are behind me that didn't follow in the footsteps of the foolishness that I myself followed into.
Well, you know, we lived and learned, and, you know, it was a thing that just swept over the community that took a whole lot of people beside you, Skip.
Right.
And so they're in the 30-something age group that's bringing the recovery. Right. They want to be the fathers in their community. They don't want their children to grow up without their dad. So that's the beauty about their generation. They're clear-headed. They see things very clearly, and they're not deceived. You know, and so I like to get their opinion about things because it's very important. They're our future, and we need to know how they feel about it. So we asked the expert political analyst in our community to come join us tonight, and that's Dr. Earl Ofari Hutchinson. For those of you that don't know him, don't know his name, this is our official political analyst for South Los Angeles, the black community in Los Angeles, and he carries a lot of wisdom and for that reason, I chased him down many years ago. Okay, so welcome, Dr.
Don't start to date
Hutchinson.
ourselves now. Be careful.
Well, it was
But
over
maybe
10
we should
years
date
ago.
ourselves. Yeah, it's a good thing.
It was over
because
10
we're still
years
here.
ago. Yes, it was over 10 years ago.
Been that
And-
long.
Oh, I know that because I came around 10 years ago. And you guys
Been
were
that
already
long.
there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, I met you the first time at a forum we were having at his
The LA Urban Policy Roundtable.
Round.
2
that
minutes
is
from
not
here.
true. That is so not true. And I'm heartbroken every time you tell that story.
'Cause you're right.
Because I came out, you guys were speaking. I don't know what we were doing on Rodeo Road, but we were on Rodeo Road for some reason. You guys were there.
Caitlin Avila.
No. Caitlin Avila's in the jungles across from
Right.
the elementary school. But no, you guys were on Rodeo for some reason. That's where I originally met you guys. And then after the young daughter was shot, Ashley was shot and killed on 40-something in Western. Do you remember? She was sitting in the car.
Marcia's daughter.
Marcia's daughter.
Marcia,
Yes,
yeah.
Right.
yes.
So that's when I started coming to the round table because you
Okay.
guys invited me to the round table.
Right.
And that's when you followed me into the ceasefire.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. That's
So
right.
actually, I've been.
Skip has got that chronology.
Right.
He's
That's what it's
right.
called, chronology. Right.
You taught him a new word, yeah,
I'm
chronology.
going to go to
Yeah,
class
yeah.
tonight and say that.
Okay, but you know, it's an amazing path that brought us together because I chased him down when Delisha Allen was killed at Locke High School. 15-year-old Delisha Allen. And I think what you're talking about on Rodeo is when the young boy was hit and run.
Ah,
And we were trying
Yeah.
to get a stop sign.
right, the
a
stop sign.
light.
Yeah. That was just before Christmas, too. I can't remember the year.
You
but-
missed my
okay.
birthday party. I won't tell you what year
Well,
that was.
this is a
but-
throwback Thursday then. That's
This
what
is
this
a
is.
Well, we're
Throwback
going the big stroll down memory lane. I
Yes,
love that.
Yes.
You know,
we got
what's-
a lot of memories, too.
But let me tell you what's sad. I don't know if you guys are thinking about it, but when we start talking about coroners and we start talking about things, actually what brings us together is death.
Yeah.
Whether it was a child being hit and run or whether it was a homicide. You said Caitlin Avila.
Caitlin
and,
Avila.
and I remember everyone standing against the garage as we had the press conference. And this was the first time I ever stood with law enforcement. You know, and
Yeah.
I know T. Rogers came out as well and, you know, stood with us. So I remember that very, very well, like it was yesterday. So.
Yeah. Oh, it was a big deal, and you know, things seemed to be so huge in those years that it was out of control. And I had marched with Mothers on the March for many years before Delisha was killed, and folks were trying to form grassroots organizations to fight the violence, and so many of them met up that day for Delisha, and we marched down the street when I was still able to march. Yeah. Well, I broke my back walking around Los Angeles for this, so now I take the ride.
Right.
Okay, or I meet you at the beginning and see you when you get back. But, you know, it just shows how many years we've been on the front
Right, because when you were saying Locke High School, I was thinking to myself, no, it had to be something else because I was with you guys at Locke High School, but I wasn't. I was with you guys at Locke High School when they had that riot. Remember when there was the uprising, the students were against each other,
Right.
which was probably a year or two after that or
Yes.
something. So
It was in that frame, yeah.
It's history right here.
I'm telling you.
This is when they were fighting because they were saying Green Dot was the answer, and then everybody was blaming Green Dot. And, Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And then, thanks to him, you got to meet your first police chief.
Which one was that? Bratton?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bratton.
Yeah, the round
Yes.
table.
How many
Yes,
police
yes.
chiefs you met before
Oh,
Braden?
yeah. None.
None.
I met police officers
No, I said
as they were
police chiefs.
chasing. Right.
No.
There were none to meet because
Hey.
they would not meet with us.
That's right.
Right, and I was invited. I truly appreciate that, and also that's where I got a chance. That was the first time I really got to sit down and talk with Deputy Chief, but then he was a commander, Kenny Gardner.
Kenny Gardner, yeah.
Kenny Gardner.
Yeah.
Yes.
You opened the doors for a lot of conversation, Earl. I just have to thank you for that.
Well,
I never got my question answered too. Do you guys remember? I asked a question up there, and then we went downstairs. We ran out of time, so I just said it's okay though. You know, it was my first chance getting to even ask a question for a police chief. So
To be fair, we kind of took Earl's arm and twisted it behind him and just came through the door. It's like, look, we're coming to this, Earl, so I just need to tell you don't put nobody at the door because they're gonna get hurt. We're coming in, you know.
Say, look out, here we come.
Hey, look, because there was a lot of movers and shakers in that room,
yeah.
but nobody in the level but me and Skip in the work that we were doing. So, I mean, I was proud of the folks that were in there. I was happy you opened the door and brought this new leadership to come.
You know who else I met there? Beverly White. That was my first time talking to Channel 4 newscaster Beverly White. We took a picture, and we've been friends ever since. Earl, you've done a lot for me, brother.
You know, I'm hearing all of this. I mean, God, I'm just flooded with memories. Did I do all of that? Was that me?
That was
sure
you.
it wasn't 5 other people.
was you.
Don't you remember Bratton dragged us downstairs? I drug Skip, and we stood behind Bratton in that press conference, and everybody was smiling, and then Skip started, his phone started blowing up. It's like, homie, what are you doing? What is that? Who are you with?
Right.
You a traitor?
And you know, we actually did walk a fine line.
Right.
We
did.
walked a fine line. And we had, well, first of all, Bratton. And then after that, it was a lot of other LAPD top command.
Right.
I mean, they all came at one time or another.
They did.
And we would get it, too, from certain elements in the community.
Oh, you ain't
Why are you with them? I mean, why are you with law? Have you sold out?
Oh,
I mean,
man.
I love that one. Have you sold out?
They called us
Are you bucking to be
uncles
something
and
else
Toms and house
I
and all
mean,
kinds of things. It's like, wow, we're just trying to open the dialogue with this new guy to see if he's going to be like the last or worse or, you know, who he is. And I thank you to this day for giving us an opportunity to talk to a man that really came out here with the intent to try to make change.
Well, there's a little backstory, Skip and Sister Herron, to that. It wasn't as straightforward as you might think. Now, what happened was this. Let me take a second on the Bratton business. And I've seen this repeated over and over again in other situations. Actually, Bratton didn't want to come. Now, he came twice. Maybe he was even 3 times. He didn't really want to come because, like so many others, he's thinking, okay, I'm coming down here, I'm going to get attacked.
Yeah.
I'm coming down here, I'm going to get beat up.
Yeah.
I'm coming down here, I'm going to get run out of here.
So that's why Skip and I came.
Well.
I ain't going to lie about it.
Well, he wasn't going to come.
I came to check him.
He was not going to come.
Yeah.
So what happened was I had to do a little persuading. Look, he was relatively new at that point.
He was
You're
very
coming
new.
in this community from somewhere else. You don't have a history in this city.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're East Coast. So if you're really going to be, as you say you want to be a community-oriented, the LAPD community policing. Remember that was a buzzword then?
Right.
Then, I mean, you can't sit down at, back then, Parker Center. Of course, now it's, something else. You can't sit down there and talk to yourself. Or, worse than that, Skip, as you know, and Sister Herron, talk to hand-picked black leaders. I said hand-picked. We're not going to mention any names. We'll just leave it at that. I think we can fill in the blanks. So after talking to, I guess he thought about it. He said no originally. He didn't say no. I love the way they do this. I've got other commitments. I've got this. I got to be here. I got to be there. I got to be at the policeman's ball. I got to be here.
Yeah, I got a schedule.
I said, Chief, wait a minute. You called me. And he did call because he read an article I wrote critical of them. So here's a chance to reach out. I guess they thought about it. He said, okay. A few days later, what time, blah, blah, blah. But even then, Skip and Sister Herron, he hedged his bets. And here's how he did it. This tickles me. His PR person called. And he said, now, okay, it's going to be from, I'm just picking the time, somewhere around, 6:30, because it was in the evening. And it's an hour. However, the chief is on a tight schedule. He's got to be out of there exactly at 6:35. In other words, he's only got 15 minutes. So what he was doing, in case it got a little heated, in case it wasn't going the way he wanted, I got my exit. What he didn't realize is we're serious people in the community.
Yeah. Oh.
We're not coming down here to shout you down. I mean, we're not into that.
I was.
But you could. But you also are asking questions.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Questions that need to be answered. Pointed questions. And we know the litany of questions we were asking. Use of force, complaints, racial profiling, what community policing actually means, reaching out to, all the gang members, ex-gang members. I mean, all the things we look for. And, of course, the violence in the community. What are you doing there proactively? I mean, these are compelling questions. You shouldn't have a problem running from that, even if it's shouted at you. So when he got there, what he didn't realize, we are serious people. We are not going to jump down your throat. There'll be challenges, but it's okay. And here's what happened, Sister Herron. That 15 minutes, he felt so comfortable because it was done the right way. He felt so comfortable, we had to almost drag him out of there.
Yeah.
So,
You're talking about that meeting in the upper room with all the...
well, even before that, we had one.
I
it was down.
that was the daytime.
No, that was the
meeting.
second one.
When he said 6 o'clock, I knew I wasn't at that one.
Yeah,
I was at the daytime. Like
this was the
1
daytime
to 2
we
or
had.
something like that, or 12.
And the daytime, if you remember, it just broke when he was up for renewal at that point.
Right.
No.
Yeah,
Yes, he
what
was.
happened.
Yeah, I remember that.
No, and
he was up for renewal.
He was
I
up for
remember that.
renewal, the second 5-year term, and what happened
And
was
he took that second renewal and then later left anyway.
okay,
Yeah,
but
he
Skip,
left
wait a minute,
anyway,
wait a minute,
but
hold
no.
on, wait a minute, you're getting ahead of yourself on that.
Yeah.
That press conference we had impromptu down in the front. It wasn't actually planned. That you were talking about. What happened was he was under fire for a brief moment. Some things came out, and he was being challenged. And I never will forget. We came down. We had the press conference. We basically endorsed this guy, and then right after that,
that's
he
when
was
my phone
reappointed.
started ringing.
And he never forgot that. We really saved his. You know what?
We really did.
We did.
We did. You know, Steve,
We validated his relationship with
We
the
did.
community.
Yes.
And that sealed the deal at that point for him.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is that thanks to Fred Booker and Kenny Garner, he came down to Tolliver's barbershop and had that conversation with respected black men of the community to find out what working folks thought about the police department.
And he should do it. Any of them should
What-
do it. If they're serious.
Did Beck do it? Did Daryl Gates do it?
No.
Did Bernard
But I
Parks
said-
do
I
that?
said if
Did
they are
Willie
serious
Williams do
about
that?
it,
But
in
see,
interaction.
that's
Well,
the whole
you know
point.
what? Let me take up real quick for Beck. For one thing, Beck did is when
Actually, Beck
Christopher
did come a
Dorner,
couple times.
when Christopher Dorner did what he did and chased who he chased and whatever. Even though they could not really speak on it, Beck brought his command staff and they came to the community center on Vermont.
Right.
So I do give them that. They
And
were
he-
responsive.
And Skip, he
And-
did actually come to 2 round tables too.
Yeah.
And actually, remember, Sister Herron, he came to K-Time a couple of times.
I know.
So he actually did.
Right.
The other thing that is really interesting about these chiefs and also their understudies, the second in command, you mentioned Kenny Garner, bless his heart, and some of the others. They were the ones, it was really something I had to really kind of, given my past and dealings with and my thoughts about how police operate, like you, Skip, I had to kind of reorientate my thinking too. When they would stand with us, and not only stand with us, they also did something else. And the first time I became aware of this, how they realized the impact we were having in the community. There was one shooting that came to mind. I think Ashley Parks was chief then. There was one shooting that was on the corner of Manchester and Vermont in the drugstore. They gunned the young, no, he wasn't young, a middle-aged black guy down. So what happened was we came out, we had the press conference. I'm looking around. Now, remember, Manchester and Vermont, as you well know, on that corner, you can't sit there 1 minute without seeing 5 LAPD cars go by.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was we're there, we had a press conference, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I'm thinking, wait a minute, no LAPD. I don't see nothing. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then it hit me what they were doing. The word went out, stay away. Stay away. And remember, Sister Herron, I saw that many times we went to corners. You know, now this time about police shootings. Stay away. They realized, Skip, from a PR standpoint, we don't want to give them any reason, no harassment, no anything.
You know
they
what-
had learned a lesson
No,
about
you
PR.
know where that come from? That probably comes from the 1992 uprising. Remember, the lieutenant pulled everybody back.
Yeah.
Because he said right there, 71st and Normandy, he said we were the targets.
Yeah.
So he said, if I pull everybody back, they have no one to be angry with.
Right.
But he was wrong.
He was wrong.
Well, also,
He was wrong.
also, Skip, there's a little story on that too. Years later, I talked to Daryl Gates. Years later, he's not chief anymore. During the OJ trial,
Yeah.
we were doing things, together at CBS. We would walk to the parking lot after the show. I got to, not know him, but I saw another side to him. He was actually a human being. once he got out of that milieu, like so many of them are.
Was he?
Yeah. No, once he got out of that milieu, and this is what he told me. He said, Earl, if we had gone down there full blast that day and killed a bunch of blacks, that's what he said, then what would have happened? And that would have been what would have happened. We'd have had a massacre down there.
The problem is the way his leadership is what caused that. He was a leadership that allowed that kind of Rodney King conduct to go on. And
for years before.
Wait a minute, just to verify it, I asked after Kenny Garner had passed and we see a new leadership coming in the South Bureau, and I checked them. It was my job to check them, find out if they're serious. Who are you? Are you coming to hurt us or help? And so I asked him about that during the Rodney Kings all over my neighborhood, which sparked April 29th. And he said to me very clearly, yeah, we used to, but we don't anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
And that statement right there gave me a chance to give him a little consideration, because in those years I've been anti-police since '65. Since my childhood, and I haven't seen anything change that, and by '92 it only gotten worse.
Well, remember one thing about Kenny Garner, he never said no to any request we ever made.
No, he didn't.
Never said no.
Well, we have to thank Bratton for Kenny.
that.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, he promoted him fast. He was
did.
a captain.
He did.
He was a captain at first over recruitment. And I remember that's how he was introducing him, a captain over recruitment, and then he was a commander, and within a year and a half, with 18-month period, he was deputy chief.
They moved him up
South
the
Bureau.
food chain. Well, because he was effective, that's why, and they saw it.
He wasn't just effective, and I'll tell you something else Bratton did. He used to make his leadership, Earl Pasinger and anybody else downtown, come and do these community meetings.
Things,
Let us come.
That was routine at that point.
Yes, it was routine.
And for decades on the gates. Are you kidding? No way.
No way.
Because you're the enemy.
You're the enemy. Yeah.
And they didn't even try to hide it.
No, they didn't. And so that was the different, unique thing about
But you know what?
Bratton.
I like that.
I did too.
No, I like Chief
enemy
Gates.
part?
I like that because I rather know how you feel about me as opposed to
you definitely
you
knew
come
then.
in because you're forced to, and you have that fake smile, and I never know it's fake, and you spit in your hand, I'm about to go see the community. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
I don't like that. So I would rather know up front that you are against me. Even though I don't like your stance against me, I like the fact that you're being open and honest.
You being who you are.
Well,
being who you are.
okay, but Skip,
being who you
now
are, yeah.
let me kind of give you a counter to that. I hear where you're going with that. And again, I don't totally disagree, but however, there's something else to that. We didn't just sit down and have those meetings at our polite discussions at our round table, PR. And we've talked about this, Sister Herron, many, many times. We actually had meetings with them away from the press, away from the community, after a shooting, after this.
Yes.
And we actually got concessions out of them. We actually moved them, prodded them, pushed them to do certain things. I'm going to just shift for a minute with Sheriff Baca. Well, I still say Sheriff Baca.
Yeah.
Former Sheriff Baca, now soon to be
Just former Sheriff Baca.
number Baca.
Okay.
All right. Baca, we met after there was a period, remember, probably in the mid-2008-9, there were a lot of sheriff shootings. Remember that? Okay, we were out on those corners.
Yes.
And then Baca would meet with us. We would go down there
Yes.
to
He's
their
not a good
headquarters
example.
over at Monterey Park.
He's not a good example. He's a human being.
Yeah,
Who,
but I was just
Baca is.
But I want to
put
give one
him in a
example.
separate- go ahead.
Yeah, but I was going to, give this one example, and I saw it too with the LAPD. In certain situations, Baca stopped, and we said specifically, we want to see a policy change on this. Remember the excuse they were using at that point? I thought he was going for because he was pulling up his pants.
Yeah.
The pants are coming down.
The
He's
cell
running
phone
the
gun.
cell phone and
Yeah.
that. He went and changed the policy right on the spot because of that. Okay, was it earth-shattering? No, but at the same time, it showed there was a sensitivity. Now, skip back to the LAPD. I got what you're saying about him.
Right, he's a different character.
We were able to do some things, too, with them in this sense. After some of those shootings, we made sure the officers, and we were meeting with Pasinger at that point, because he had full control. He ran the operations.
Right.
We made sure, number one, the officers are not out on the street again.
Right.
At that point, we made sure they stayed off the street, not just, going to site for a couple of weeks of vacation and coming back. And we got commitments from patients. You're not going to put these cops back on the street until we're satisfied there's going to be something one way or the other with that. Also, we got commitments that we wanted a status report every step of the way about the status of the investigation. Yeah, it might be BS, but we still want public disclosure.
Right.
So there were a whole series of things we got out of them just by keeping the dialogue going.
Right.
So we were forcing them out of that PR, like you said, Skip, shaking hands, smile, then go on and do whatever they're going to do. No, you got to do more than that because we're watching you.
Well, it's a lot that happened with LAPD. Also with the Devin Brown shooting, now they can't shoot at moving vehicles. They have to get out the way.
Yeah.
Also with the...
And the police commission, how we push them, too.
Right. And the young man, I forget his name, he was running through the canal in Compton, and they beat him with the flashlight. And so now, Chief Green says, okay, we have a smaller flashlight that is so powerful, but you can't hit anybody with it. So even with Rodney King, they say now that when officers make a traffic stop, they don't automatically bring their batons with them, as was
but they do
Rodney
come
King.
with their guns, though.
Right. So, I mean...
Well, they're going to have that, but just don't use them.
Right. But here, you're talking about...
shooting at you.
But you're talking about transparency with LAPD and what Earl Pasinger brought to the table. I want to now shift into Inglewood. Let's go into Inglewood because I was waiting for years on a report that when Chief Jacqueline Seabrook was there, we were
By the way,
waiting
she just announced her retirement.
Right, she retires in September. But we were waiting on a report. It was an oversight report for I'm not sure if it's Michael Bayun or if it was for the mailman Kevin Wicks.
Okay.
It was
they came very close together. The two shootings,
and it was the same officer that shot both of them within a 40-day period.
You do know they fired him. Yeah, they got rid of him.
Yeah, they got. But so.
Because I believe he was involved in the last shooting of the father at the birthday party. We went out there.
How many shootings were there? I know there were two. With him,
7.
I know there were 2.
Well, there were 7 total in Inglewood, and I believe he was involved.
Let me tell you what's so funny. It's not funny, but what is so critical about that is that year, like before September, there were 5 homicides in the city of Inglewood, but there were like 4 to 6 officer involved homicides.
But they were out of control.
So they were matching each other.
Yeah.
So the city had calmed down, but the officers had escalated.
Okay, and everybody wanted her fired. It's like get rid of her.
You know what she did though? I mean, I love Jacqueline Seabrook. If you're watching, I love you, Jacqueline. But she went on vacation when Michael Bayun got shot, and she said, "Well, I'm off that weekend."
She did. She
said that. She said, "I was off that weekend."
Well, hey, look,
but she learned from that.
She did.
Because she took a lot of heat for that, she learned. She said, "I'll never make that mistake again."
She
never.
Sure wouldn't. Right. She sure won't. And see, and the truth is, she came from cushy Santa Monica.
Right.
That don't have the kind of problems we have in the inner city over here in the Inglewood, which is at war with the Manchester on the other side of Crenshaw, and we're at war with each other. So that was new territory for her. No,
she's an Inglewood resident.
Well, she was on a learning curve at that point.
Yeah.
But now what she also did, too.
She didn't know how to handle that. She really didn't. Well, and really, what I think the turning point was when you gave her that private interview and we had that sit down face to face with her and ask her, do you know how many of your officers are involved in all of these shootings? Is it the same one? Do you know? And she really had to go back and check.
Well, and then right after that, she did her homework on it. She was determined. Now, she also did something else, too. We met twice at our office in Inglewood with her. Yeah. We had a little community meeting there. And one of them was disrupted, but that's another story.
You mean when the people broke through the back door?
You remember that, right.
I was there.
You was there?
Yeah, but we'll leave that one alone.
Yeah,
what she did was she committed, and this is why I go back to getting it right with them that really want to get it right. She made a private and a public commitment that each quarter, every 3 months, she will call and she will give me and give us, not me, but the LA Urban Policy Roundtable and others, give us a status report. Status report on the use of force, status report on complaints, status report on their whole thing about profiling, and a few other things. I got to tell you, Skip and Sister Herron, it got to the point where they had quieted things down. About a year went by, had maybe more than that, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, nothing. Finally, I had to say, Chief, you know what? You don't have to call me anymore.
Yeah.
I finally had to wave her off because she was calling so much. I said, wow.
Well, you know,
Yeah,
she
became
really,
part of the community.
Yeah, she did.
had
She did.
to, because
And she lived in the community.
those killings were dangerous to the community of Inglewood.
And she
There could have
realized-
been,
and it was dangerous to her
in
department and
April
her.
29th, right there on Manchester and Crenshaw, behind Michael Bayun and Kevin Wicks. Okay, the postman that got killed in his doorway, really?
Right.
And subsequently it came out that they were at the wrong door.
Right.
They got north instead of south. Sister, we have break time right now, so I don't know. Yeah, it's break. So if you want Stevie Wonder to sing to us, he will. He will tell us how to be free.
There he is. Oh my God.
It doesn't even make sense to go to break. Y'all should have been saying that on the air.
Okay, because I tell you,
I still got you on YouTube, and we went down and confronted the Klan. That's what they are.
Yes.
Sometimes wearing a Torrance Police Department uniform.
Yes, Lord.
Went down there and confronted them. Remember how they had the mob out there that day?
They had their boosters across the street
and they were
from
shouting us
us.
down, challenging us.
We
and
support
Sister
our
Herron,
police
and Sister
department.
Herron gets in their face, surrounded by.
Well, no, you know what this one said? I'm talking to him, not you.
Yeah, and
it's like,
Sister
well,
Herron,
excuse me, you on a public corner, and I'm going to say
And she
what
did
I'm
not
going to say.
back down.
Oh, no.
No, of course
in face of the mob.
You know, because
not.
one of these, I don't know what he is, a videographer, not a newsman, and he was running around asking us provocative questions, And he said something about President Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And I chased him around with the George Bush and the drug story and the draft dodging. And I chased him around till he ran away.
And Skip, we saw the naked face of hate in Torrance that day.
Yes.
The naked face.
Oh, my God.
It even shocked me.
Yes.
I mean, to see it up close.
Yes.
Because they were right in front of us.
Yes.
Now, we're not talking about Selma, Alabama 50 years ago or Jackson, Mississippi.
There's
We're
as
talking
far
about
as
Torrance.
we-
That's what I'm talking about when I say I appreciate it. I appreciate knowing that this is how you feel because they made it that far. Like you said, they made 50 years of having some other kind of face, a mask on. So when you confronted them like that, they took the mask off, and you truly got to see who they were.
I mean,
Skip,
the naked hate.
Okay, because I remember the story you told me that the Torrance police told you about getting out of there down before dark.
Yes, definitely.
What'd they tell you?
Well, that was somebody else's story, but from me, the sheriff had told me my mother moved into the Overhills off of behind Yee's restaurant, and the sheriff had told me that they weren't going to allow me to live there with her. So yes, but there was someone else who was walking down the street who was working. I can't remember this. Somebody had a job in Torrance, and they were walking down the street. Torrance police beat me up. I was wrong, though. They were supposed to. I don't think they were supposed to beat me up, but I was wrong, and they were supposed to take me to jail. But there was somebody I remember. I can't remember who it was that was walking down the street coming home, and they told them. That you have no reason to be here after your job is over. When the street lights or whatever come on, your job is over. You need to leave.
Right.
So I mean, I appreciate that. Tell me that, because I know now that you hate me. Right? Don't let the sun
Don't let the sun set. They used to have signs in the Old South. You know, well, they used to say something. The N word. If you can read, run.
Right.
If you can't read, run anyway.
And you know what was amazing about that day, Earl? How much support we got from non-blacks.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
I've witnessed a racial
Because we're only telling
profiling
part of
in
the
this
story.
Police department.
There were another group that did come out and oppose them of whites. I mean, of decent folk that supported us, progressives, and they stood with us. So
They did.
you know, we got it from both sides, and that was a good thing.
Yeah, it was. It was. Well, we went out there to shake things up and take the mask off.
Well, and there was something else, Sister Herron, that happened. I know that you were really, we were pushing for. I'm jogging my memory now in Torrance. Where they shot, was it one or two in the basement? They were asking them to come out.
No, they shot him in the woodshed.
In the woodshed, right.
In the woodshed.
Yeah.
And that's when one of your activists said you don't bring a shovel to a gunfight.
Yeah.
Remember the
what
two
happened?
burglars?
There were two, yeah.
Two burglar suspects got trapped in the woodshed, and Torrance police surrounded it, had dogs, had smoke bombs, that kind of stuff. And the young men were unarmed, hiding in the woodshed, on their cell phone, trying to generate a surrender. They were talking to a family member
didn't want
on
to hear
the
that.
phone. Yeah.
No, they executed them.
And so when they came out the woodshed, Torrance police executed them. And the amazing thing about that was that their police chief at the time says, well, sometimes we make mistakes.
Yeah, well.
Oh, they shut him off and got rid of him fast.
Right.
Before you could even blink, he was gone. But that's what he said about that. Sometimes we make mistakes.
And we don't make mistakes in their mind.
Yeah.
You're the mistake,
Yeah, you're
not
the
us.
mistake. And that was a message to us. Don't come burglarize our neighborhood.
Well, the message was, don't even come to Torrance. Like Skip was saying, we don't want you here.
The driver, they arrested the driver, charged him with his two friends' deaths.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
that.
you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you know.
You know
Skip.
I'll tell you why you
'Cause he
remember.
had a $2 million
because
bail.
Here we go again. Yeah. We were the ones that went out there and made an issue of it. If that had happened, these was just two, crooks that they just gunned down, and this story would have stood. But every time when that happened, when we were really on the case, we would go out and challenge them. Yeah. The beautiful thing about that is what happened, it heightened the community's awareness because the media, you mentioned Beverly White, her and a few others, they came out. They would bring the cameras out there. They'd do our thing. They would go back and, of course, talk to them. But it didn't matter. It really drew public attention to it, and it got others in the community thinking. Yeah. So that was always important. We, Skip and Assistant Herron, and you got this a lot, and Skip, I'm sure you heard it a lot. A lot of times they say, well, there's Earl and Sister Herron chasing the camera again. Yeah. I said, wait a minute. We're not chasing any cameras. We're out here as public advocates. We're civil rights advocates. Now, if the press comes, they're not. We just can't make them come.
Right.
They come because there's an issue here.
Yes.
But why not?
Yeah.
If we can use them to the little extent that we can to get because look, the bottom line is I have to keep telling people, do you read the LA Times every day? Do you read the Waves every day? But I'll tell you what you do. You watch Channel 4, you watch Channel 7, you watch Channel 9. That's where you get your news and information from. We would be stupid and foolish not to use that medium if we could.
So I'm glad you said it like that because I was stupid and foolish. So 2006.
Not personal
No, personal because when I started in 2006, Bo Taylor, Taco, I got a lot of influences. And the one thing that I was always taught is that, the work that we do is not going to be televised. Right. So we work in the dark corners, the alleys. We work with people and people may not know it. They may not see it. Right. And then I was taught that, that is camera chasing, so whatever. So my thought is that, and Sister used to press us too. Sister used to always try to get us.
Yeah, we would beg you to come out.
Right. And
hands of these, please.
Right. But one of the reasons why we didn't is because we truly didn't understand the power and how the media could help us in our agenda.
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't get it. Let me say I didn't get it.
Okay, but
let me tell you when you did get it.
Yes, I got it.
When Cashmere James was killed Christmas Day.
Yeah, but she would come out, Skip.
Ceasefire.
At times.
No, but
strategically at certain points. But Sister Herron and Skip, I want to respond to that, Skip. After a while, I stopped saying, can you get Skip, and the crew, from Ceasefire and others. I stopped for a reason. Not because we didn't want you, because I began, now here's an epiphany on my part. I got to confess too. I began realizing we actually don't need Skip and them out there. What we need them doing is what they do effectively best, because we can complement them. We can bring a public face to it, and Skip is behind the scenes the way they like to work, working with the mothers, working with the gang leaders, ex-gang leaders, working with the community
I need to say
on the ground,
Earl.
in the trenches.
Hey, look.
So I began to appreciate.
Let me interject something in here.
I'm going to film this.
See, because look, I would have preferred Skip than a couple of fools that we did stand with.
Oh, y'all had a fool.
We had a fool.
Okay,
at least
that was your fool.
We had a fool. You know
that
what?
was y'all's fool.
But anyway, I did want to give you your props on how I appreciated what you did.
Okay, because look, that fool was. The couple of fools was getting us in a lot of trouble, and we was catching a lot of heat. And the bad thing about the two of them, they kept butting heads with each other. And what was it
they
about?
had a fight too, huh?
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
One of them,
Yeah, they did.
Well, actually, it was worse than that. One of them actually got a case behind it.
Yes, he did.
And actually left the city behind it.
Right.
Well, he needed to, because, the sad thing is that this man's a professional, okay?
Right.
And he taught me, don't waste news time, because they're only going to give you 15 seconds if you're lucky.
Use it correctly.
Yes, use
because
take
and also
advantage
remember,
of it.
Sister
Take
Herron,
advantage
there
of
was
it.
something else. Also, I tried to emphasize with those other persons and you and myself they're not your friend.
No.
Never have
No.
any illusions.
No.
They are not your friends. They are always going to give the establishment line. They're always going to put that first. However, there's a little window of opportunity if you know how to work it correctly.
Right. But see, I learned that lesson from you, and actually I learned it years ago watching Rita Walters. Because she said, hey, they're not going to give me but a second.
That's it.
So let me maximize that second.
You getting up here making Gettysburg Address speeches.
And
look,
I mean, that's what the food, that's what the food was
it's for
doing.
you, not them.
Yeah.
You're about yourself.
That's what was
them.
so crazy about it. That fool just never saw a camera that he couldn't lust after. And it was lust. I'm serious. And when I saw him
how many fists did you have in his back, Sister Herron, to
not enough. But I promise the last time when we was on that world stage about that Halloween fight, where they prosecuted the track team, call them gang members.
Oh, yeah.
Remember the Halloween haunted house? There was a ruckus out there.
Yeah, down in Long Beach.
They put Long Beach. And the world stage was here. The world stage all over, from London to New York.
It was huge.
It was huge. And I've never seen so many press vehicles. And our friend mugging and stupid and saying dumb stuff, and I'm poking him in the. Come on,
no.
But he was stupid before the press conference.
He was.
You know what I mean? So,
the sad thing
don't
is
get there and get.
The professional tried to train him. He tried to train him. We was always trying to talk him down.
I had a half a head of hair,
about
Skip, before I met him.
Oh my
By the
God.
time I was through with him, all my hair's gone.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But be that as it may, we still, despite
I had
him,
to go fight Ken and John for him.
Oh yeah, but they came too, right? They came to Inglewood.
Yeah, they all
came. Wait, one of them said something crazy and came to Inglewood. One of them from KFI.
KFI. They used to show up quite a bit.
That was at Tookie Williams. That was.
And you used to fight with them all the time.
The Kill Tookie Hour. Ken and John were doing the Kill Tookie Hour, and we had that press conference in front of Lucy Florence.
And he had the nerve to
John
come down
Ziegler.
there, with
they
that.
sent John Ziegler down there. Man, and I was so upset with that.
I got that on YouTube, too.
Okay, because
you going at it.
I snuck up behind John and asked him straight out, what were your ancestors doing when they were hanging mine on the trees?
Right.
And he just got you.
And actually, he didn't last too long down there. He got out of there quickly.
Do you know, actually, John tried to get us not to go on Ken and John. He said, don't do it.
Don't do it,
Sister, don't do it. I said,
well, you know what? In a strange way, some of them in the press, Skip, and this is why sometimes funny things happen, if you stay with it long enough. Some of them actually did begin to appreciate. They were not just doing it as a job and just, the pro-establishment thing. Some began to actually get what we were doing.
Ken and John
They actually began, even them, as right-wing as they were, they began to get it.
They did.
And there was a little sympathy that began to come through. In other words, treating us really as serious people, not just agitators, not just down here with a camera in front of us, but actually serious about saving lives. See, at the end of the day, I had to tell people, we are out here trying to save lives. Do you understand that? Whether, and you said something the other day, which I think is always important, whether the murderer wears a badge and a gun or has a red, blue, something on, it doesn't make any difference. A death is a death.
That's right.
It's precious to us.
A wrongful death.
And we also knew something else, Sister Herron and Skip. Generally in the community, people are very fearful of the police and gangs and everything else. So they're not, and rightfully so. So they're not, we couldn't expect them to come out and be the public face of anything. So somebody had to say something.
Ceasefire.
They had to. But then after a while, the beauty of it, families started coming out after a while.
Yes. Well, I believe the show up of ceasefire when Kashmir James was killed Christmas Day helped the police find her killers. And they found all of them. And the amazing thing when Devon Bailey, the little 6-year-old boy, was killed,
right.
and we had to go do that god-awful press
Tell me where.
conference. I can't remember the street, but he was 6 years old. You remember the story. Yeah. He was living with a supposed foster father. There was a drug addict.
That was out near Imperial somewhere.
I don't even remember. Because
I don't want to remember that one.
You don't, because he was 6 years old.
Skip.
And the sad thing is that boy had been going to school with bruises. all along. And nobody was paying any attention until this man finally killed him. And Earl and I, we never met the family. Our friend went and met the family.
Right.
Okay, but
we went over to DPSS too on Vermont. Too.
Yeah, we
Remember
did.
that? Yeah.
We did because they had seen bruises on him before. And nobody responded to that baby until he was killed. And so the one that came in after Kenny passed, Albanese.
Yeah,
Chief
yeah,
Albanese,
Albanese.
put together a task force. They went to Las Vegas to the crack area and found his killer.
Well, and Skip, one other thing. I want to just circle back to Inglewood.
I really want to say that us bringing attention to it pushed them to give us some results.
And that's why the media and our presence. And then the other thing, too, and Sister Herron, something else I think needs to be said on this camera chasing thing. What people didn't see, and we never got a nickel for any of this, nor asked for it. You know, we didn't have to do this. But we did.
The fool asked for $500.
Well, that was him. But I'm talking about the unfools didn't.
Right.
What they didn't see, Skip and Sister Herron, and you would testify because you sat right there through many of them, the time that we would get in our car, spend our money putting gas in our car, going to a meeting, going to something, some little something, well, not something little, but something big, behind the scenes, meeting with law enforcement, quietly trying to get things. There were no cameras there. There was no press there. Yeah. I remember all those times we would meet with the U.S. attorney, about cases like that. Yeah. There was no media there, but people never saw that.
Right.
Because we were serious about getting public. I kept telling them, the whole name of the game is two things. One, saving lives, and public policy change. And so, I mean, when you think about that, the things that we did attain for a period of time there, Sister Herron, we talked about this, we actually did see a reduction in violence in our community. Ceasefire was involved, right up there with all your resources. We actually did see a spike down for a period. Now, it goes up and down for a lot of reasons. And we also saw something, too, with the LAPD and the sheriffs. In a couple of those years, we saw the use of force go down. Because now they're aware. We are watching you.
Yeah, we're watching you. And now we have the benefit of the cell phone camera. Not that it's doing us any good.
Well, actually, better to have it than not.
Well, yeah, but it ain't. We got the evidence. Philando Castile.
Oh, what's her name? Got found.
Terrence Crutcher.
Not guilty. Yeah.
Okay, but Skip and Sister Herron, I mean, the system is set up not to try and prosecute them. I mean, sir, we already know that. It's a loaded deck there, all the way back to Rodney King. However, still, with the cell phone, bringing them to trial, even though you're not going to get a conviction, especially in Oklahoma. I mean, come on. But it still keeps it out there. Just think about it. If that wasn't the case, who would know anything?
Wait, but that makes me mad, though.
It should.
When I see something and you prosecute and then you fail to get a conviction as if I didn't see what I saw.
Yes.
I saw a man walking away.
Yeah.
But
Skip, it still puts him on notice. You still, even though you may walk away, and you probably will, you still got to get an attorney. You still got to sit in that courtroom. You still got to go through the process. I mean, even there to make them do that.
We're not even getting in the courtroom.
Did any of that stop Brian Regan?
No.
Inglewood, who shot Michael Bayum and then later shot Kevin Wicks, and his daddy was Inglewood police officer.
But in the years after that, remember, it did have an effect on them. And one other thing,
where did he go?
And one other thing,
Wait, hold on. Where
Probably
did he go?
to Torrance.
Right. Because you remember...
you mean that? Well, yeah, they do a musical chairs with him, shuffling him around.
He's on Sentry at the gas station. He actually comes from Vic and the Inglewood Peacemakers. Their little youngster was choked. Biapone was choked also by an Inglewood police officer. It was on the news. Motorcycle officer.
Was this recently?
No, this was 2005.
Oh, okay,
2006.
yeah. Well, they were choking everybody then.
But that officer eventually left and went
to Torrance.
Not surprised. So I'm thinking they probably they can go straight down Inglewood Avenue. And they could just drive right down there. I wouldn't be surprised
if the highway patrol officer that beat Marlene Pinnick and got to resign is working for Torrance now.
He might be, well, if he's not in Torrance, he might be in Paducah, Iowa. So we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
It's
but
like
he is free to get reemployed. They didn't fire him.
I still say, though, having said that,
so they can make a transfer.
To shed a light, at least you put them on notice you're being watched. At least, if nothing else. And that's kind of for some. I wanted to say something about Jacqueline Seabrook and the Inglewood PD. The other part to that is She had a vested interest in another reason, Sister Herron, and the LAPD too, but especially in Inglewood, meeting with us, outreaching, trying to reshape that department because she understood something else. Look, when the inevitable happens, namely a kid is gunned down, not by the police, but a gang shooting, some kind of shooting, us on us shooting. If we do not have the cooperation of the community and the trust of the community, we got a rotten department here. We're not going to solve anything. Nobody's going to talk to us. Nobody's going to do anything. You talk about catch the killers. No, we're not going to be able to do anything because nobody's going to talk to us because they think we're killers. So she had a vested interest in making that department at least appear to be more responsive and responsive.
It's about her reputation too.
And her personally.
Okay, and how many more of your officers you going to allow to just shoot up the black community before we drag you out of office?
No, you know what? I have to say, me and who is now chief, but he was Captain Sisak, were like this, and he had told me that she had got rid of almost 30 officers.
She did, yeah, and I know that because she told me
right off the top.
She not only told me that, she gave me their names.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in the second go,
because I asked her for it.
But then in the second,
I didn't take her word for it. I want to know who were these officers and when. So she had a report on it.
But it was in the second round that she got rid of Regan. She didn't. He wasn't in the first 15. She came in having to get rid of 15 right off the top, and then after we had the meeting. Then she went back and checked these, and that's when we got rid of Regan. But
and in Inglewood, they could do that. LAPD, no.
Oh my God!
No, you got to go through God and act of God, right?
You have the
to
police
get under the helm, and even that's so you have all the layers there.
Protective League. So we're never going to be successful, especially when the murderers of Stephen Eugene Washington come back and sue the city and win a $2.4 million award.
Well, then
because they didn't like being punished on the job for killing that autistic man.
That's right.
And lying on the police report.
See, and also, too,
they killed him and then
don't forget the
lied
officers, too, that gunned down Ezell Ford.
Yes.
They sued. Same thing.
No, they have not moved that. They tried to sue, but
and remember, they want their job. They have a lawsuit. But they also have something else, too. Beck, remember what he did was, Passenger really did it. He didn't put them back on the street. Well, they were at the desk for a year and a half. Wait a minute. You're punishing us.
Okay. Well, one thing that we had to push with South Bureau is, as in the case of Christopher Dorner, that those officers that shot the newswomen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you make sure they are not in a patrol car in our community. Right. They are not. We do not want them in South Bureau working at all. And that was one of the last things that we demanded from Beck. Now, did we get it? I don't know. He said he was babysitting them. He had his eyes.
Well, after he's been sued, I'm sure he's not babysitting them behind a desk.
No,
I'm sure they're probably in a patrol car somewhere.
And how would you know?
Yeah, we wouldn't.
We wouldn't know. But the point is, we wanted to make sure that they weren't allowed.
You still have to raise the issue. You have to do it, and you have to do it with them, not away from them, with them.
Well, one thing that I learned from you, Earl, and it's been very effective. If you're going to meet with these people, don't leave empty-handed.
No.
Without a doubt.
You have to have a strategy and a tactic, and you have to have an end. It has to be an end game
so
there.
I want to ask for something. Each and every time I'm asking for something.
Skip, and I can tell you, every time I met with him, it was a mantra. I asked for one thing. I mean, right off the bat. I want to have a status report at every step of the investigation. You can't sit on it for 10 years and then one day in the little fine print in the back of the LA Times, officers exonerated. No. Every step of the way, I want to know. We got commitments for that and a meeting to go with that.
All right. Well, let's talk about last year and Cornell Snell. The video. Was all about, release the camera, release the video. And they were real quick to release that video. And then we find out in the small print months later that Cornell was shot in the back.
In the back, yeah.
Right. See, and so are we still waiting on those body cameras that they promised us over 2 years ago?
Not only promised, they have squandered tens of millions of our dollars.
Yeah.
Because we push them for transparency, i.e. a body camera, and then turn around. I'm fighting with Beck all the time about this. Turns around and say, well, if we release that, it might compromise the investigation and the prosecution. What prosecution?
You ain't got no video. You don't have any video. First of all, all, my whole issue is that we don't have the cameras because LAPD cannot afford to see what's going on.
They had put aside the money. City
No.
council
I'm not talking about money. They can't afford to see what's going to come in on those cameras. Okay, we might have another Rodney King and a Rita King and a and a Baby
Joe
King.
King,
We just don't know.
But I'm gonna take that and put it on Mayor Eric Garcetti because he too was coming up with excuses on why.
And he
They
still
always
is.
got
And he still
excuses
is.
for us.
So
Yes.
what is he telling us as the mayor of the city? What is he when most of the officer-involved shootings come in South Bureau? What is he telling us?
He's not talking to us. He's talking to the rest of the city.
There you
That's
go.
the problem I have with him and Beck. They're not talking to us. They're talking to everybody else but us.
Right.
Making promises to them that they're lying to us about. And I'm just going to say this because last summer they shot 4 young men
Down the
in
South
a
Bureau.
3-month period of time, and all 4 of them were under 21. And do we have any video camera?
No.
Any body camera?
No. Now,
And
what would have
Cornell
happened?
Snell shot in the back. Where was that body camera? You showed him running, trying to hide with that gun, but where is the evidence of how the officers caught him?
And I sent a letter to and pounded on and followed up with the police commission.
Yeah.
Belch Springs, Texas, where they did have the body camera. Jordan Edwards, 15 years old. The body camera was on. It was activated. They did catch the cop in a lie. Okay. Now, we come to the Los Angeles Police Department and the Sheriff's Department. You have these body cameras, but you won't use them.
Yeah.
You won't activate them. And if you do, then you're not releasing the videos.
They're afraid.
You know,
what's
come on.
There. We got 1 minute, so we never got to the politics, Earl.
But it is the politics. It is.
Yeah, this is our personal politics, but I
mean,
wanted
we're community
to,
activists. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a horrible hour. This is all bad. Everybody's dead, and we ain't got nothing changed right now.
But you know what?
Well,
we're the change makers, and things are changing
Skip,
for our people. They are. We're waking up.
It
You'd be
took the
surprised.
Band-Aid off. That's what I'm saying. It took the Band-Aid off, and now I'm mad.
I would say the sore's exposed.
Right, the sore's exposed.
The man's bleeding over
Okay.
here. Call the paramedics.
Put his Band-Aid back on.
Put
and
it back
you have
on.
the last word.
Well, the last word is, how about this? Where's it written that we can't do it again?
Yeah.
Where's it written at that? Again, invite me back. I would just say this, Skip. You know, it's not total doom and gloom. We made a lot of changes. And I think a lot of that's still resonating. You know, we did raise consciousness. We did raise awareness. We did, in fact, keep pushing the issue of transparency. We did bring a lot of families, Ceasefire and others, to the table. Former gang members, got them in the dialogue, and that's still ongoing. So, I mean, come on now, come on, give us some props now.
We have made some
continuing
progress.
that just doesn't disappear like Houdini. I mean, come on.
Right.
And the fact we're seeing people around the country when these shootings come up, they're in the streets, they're doing
watching.
things.
Yeah.
They weren't doing that before,
Right.
but now they are.
Right. That's a positive
Darn
change
right it
that's
is.
happened. Yes, that's a positive change. So we're really happy about that part. Next time you come back, hopefully it'll be around the impeachment, and we can talk about that too.
And not only that, I can find the right gate next time.
Okay. Well, we're out of time. God bless your community family. Thank you for listening to Gang Talk. Thank you, Dr. Hutchinson.
Yes, my
for
pleasure.
coming in.
Skip and Sister Herron.
Yeah,
We'll
keep
be
your
back
head to the
next
sky,
week.
too.
Yes.
Thank you. You know what?
All
All right.
All right.